Wow. That's all I can say. When I hit the start live broadcast button, I suddenly realized I don't know how to start this. This is so awkward. Um, but I'm just going to jump straight into it. I thought I was going to have some cool punchline to start it out, but I guess not. Houston, you have been a really great city to cover, and I cannot imagine covering any other city um, for a year like I have covered the weather for you guys. So I would just like to thank you for being so supportive of me. Um, it's just been great. I mean, I have such a great group of followers. It's hard to describe. So let's start out with my story. I did a sort of a mini story in the announcement I tweeted out earlier today, but I didn't really get into the full details. So here we go. Um, so I started this Twitter account back last June 2015, to cover Tropical Storm Bill. Well, that ended up being a dud, but that was basically my first legs. And at the end of Tropical Storm Bill, I believe I had 10 followers. And I continued to have 10 followers. I did not gain a single follower until January. But of course, that's just because I was really on and off. After Tropical Storm Bill, I only tweeted one thing about a heat advisory for pretty much that entire time until Halloween. On Halloween, I randomly decided one day when we were having that whole tornado outbreak, I decided to start covering the tornado outbreak, and I basically covered it in depth like I do now. Of course, some things were different. I didn't have as advanced of radar software as I do now, but I mean, I still tried my best. Um, and then I covered the November 17th severe bust, and then in January, um, I suddenly started bragging about my weather account to somebody in school when I realized, oh wow, I haven't even tweeted off that. So from there, I decided um, I decided to actually run the Twitter account like consistently, and the guy who I bragged to, he actually helped me gain some followers. After that, I had about 20 followers, and I gradually gained about 30 followers until the tax day flooding event. And after that, my account just blew up with followers. It got to a point where I would be off my phone for about 30 minutes, and I would come on to 106 new locations. Sorry, 106 new notifications. Some of those were followers, some of those were likes, some of those were questions from my followers. And it was just phenomenal. I mean, of course, I didn't really enjoy covering it because I mean, people died, uh, and like I hate covering things where people's lives are in danger, but at the same time, I feel like if I can just save one life with this weather account, then I've done my purpose, and I'm hoping I have saved a life with this weather account, because that's basically why I created it in the first place, was to help people plan out their day and tell people when not to drive. And you saw how stern I was during those flooding events. Um, I basically, at the end of every single tweet, I would say, turn around, don't drown, do not drive through flooded waters. I did it during this last event, and I would send out a tweet every 3 or 4 tweets during the big ones saying, do not travel right now, travel is extremely dangerous. And I'm hoping people heeded those warnings and actually didn't drive. Um, but yeah, it was just great covering the weather for you guys. So at this time, I would like to shout out 3 people who helped my account really grow and grow and grow and grow. And basically, these are the people that motivated me to actually run this account and run it well. Um, so here we go. Um, the first, all right, the first shout out goes to my 4th follower ever. She was one of my original followers from back when I was covering Bill. She was one of the first 10. It is um, at at tx blue underscore bonnet. Um, I mean, like even like during the times where you know, I had about 20 followers, she still came to me and asked me questions. And by the way, I'm just saying I'm not going to shout out every single person who asked me questions, but I would just like to give a general shout out. I would like to thank everybody who asked me questions. That's pretty much the reason why I run this account, is to hopefully save lives, help people plan out their day, and answer any questions or concerns that people have. Because typically, all right, when it comes to weather, there is no such thing as a stupid question, and I think the people who ask me questions actually realize that. I mean, there were some that were basic, but I really want to answer any questions that anybody has, and I would just like to thank them. All right. The next shout out goes to my 7th follower. Actually, I lied. Well, I don't know, because I had 10 followers after Bill, but then I guess a few of them unfollowed me. Oh, and by the way, speaking of, to the people who unfollowed me, I have software where I can actually tell when people unfollow me. So yeah, if you unfollow me, then I know who you are. So the next shout out goes to that guy at school who I bragged to, at @A_Cruz_Turner, Alec Cruz Turner. He basically promoted my Twitter account to the entire school, and he doubled my follower count, which that means 20, but I mean still, that was a huge motivator, a huge motivator. And let me scroll up. I'm looking for their names right now. The third follower the third shout out goes to somebody who goes by the name of Mama Caps, but I don't know her candle, so I'm looking for that right now. Yes, but she basically said that she loves the way that I run my Twitter account, and you know, when I'm covering the weather, I want to add at least some comic relief so that people aren't completely nervous about what's going on. And I mean, like, of course, yeah, I have to be serious sometimes, because you know, you can't really joke around when there are lives at stake. But it was just great. It was great to add comic relief to some of my tweets that weren't really life-saving, or weren't interpreted to be life-saving. Yeah, so those are my 3 shout-outs. And by the way, guys, just because I didn't shout you out does not mean that you don't mean anything to me. All 156 of my followers mean something to me. And actually, if you guys want to know something funny, my first follower, who I do not know personally, is Gilman Acura. I'm sure you've seen their commercials on Twitter. Gilman Acura. That's funny, huh? Yes, but once again, it was just wonderful to cover the weather for you guys, and I would like to thank you so much for sticking with me throughout. And I mean, like, following back news people, the news people who follow me too. I mean, I actually had news people, and not just news people from Houston either. I have one person from College Station following me. I have a person from New Orleans following me, and it's just great. It gives a great feeling to run this account. And honestly, the hardest part of this move is having to start over. But it's just, but you know, at the same time, when I'm in Lincoln covering the weather there, I feel like I feel like I'm getting an absolutely new opportunity in a smaller town. And next is pretty much going to be the procedure for how that's going to all happen. So right after I post this video, or right after I publish it, I am going to sign off. And here's the deal with the sign off. I want you guys to watch the entire sign off video, because because it's just a huge series, and it's very dramatic, and it's ceremonial, and I added a few words at the end. It's basically going to be a classic, like as if a TV station was signing off for the last time, basically like that. And then so that's going to happen, and then tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning, by that I mean like 7:30 a.m. add or subtract 30 minutes, is when I'm going to make the conversion over from Houston weather to Lincoln weather. And then my first tweet as Lincoln weather will be a big text announcement saying, all right, this is going to be a 3 or 4 day dead period. So I'm basically going to have a 3 or 4 day dead period for Lincoln. And during that time, I expect a ton of Houston people to unfollow me. I expect you guys to unfollow me, and it's okay if you do. I'm sure most of you do not care about the weather that's going on in Lincoln. You care about the weather that's going on in Houston. And that is perfectly fine. I'm not going to judge you for it whatsoever. I understand. I was expecting it from the start. But I'm just telling you guys how it's going to happen. I am going to send out an announcement tweet for Lincoln saying, all right, this is going to basically be a 3 or 4 day dead period. And during that time, I am going to follow every single Lincoln person I can find and hopefully build up sort of a base there to start out with. And actually, this comes at a convenient time. There's going to be severe storms probably on Friday for them, so that might be my first day. If they don't get severe storms, then it's going to be on Saturday. And so yeah, that's going to happen. And all right, the next thing is going to be something that bugged me. I know some people thought that I would use like AccuWeather or weather.com or the local news for my forecast. No, those forecasts came 100% from my own looking at the models and forecasting by myself. And I get it. Sometimes I may not be the most accurate. And case in point, I did forecast a tax day flood a day late. But I mean, you know, I could not have felt accomplished unless I did my own work. And yeah, so I just figured I may as well put that to rest. So I guess this is my final goodbye. Houston, it has been really great covering the weather for you. You guys have been very supportive. I would like to thank you so much. And I am really looking forward to covering the weather in Lincoln. And in fact, if there is a bad weather thing in Houston and I see I still have some Houston followers, then I actually might interject a thing or two about what's going on in Houston at that time, but I don't expect a full change back on my account or anything. And what some of you might be asking is, will I ever change my account back to Houston? The answer to that is I do not know yet. The answer is likely no. And the reason for that is because I will be coming back to Houston next summer, but that would require having to go through another whole cycle change, and it's already stressful doing it once as it is. I don't want to have to go through that again and then again when I go back to Lincoln after that summer. So I'm probably not ever going to change back to Houston weather permanently. Once again, I will interject a couple things if bad weather is currently striking the Houston area, but like I'm not going to change my handle back to at HDX_weather. That's not going to happen. So yeah, it has been really great, and be sure to stay tuned for my final sign-off video. Actually, by the time this video is published on YouTube and I post it, the sign-off video probably would have already happened. So yeah, thank you very much for being so supportive of me during this past year. It really means a lot. You guys made me really happy at times. So thank you, and have a great life, Houston.